To get started on this exercise, you should have downloaded the handwriting exercise file, and inside of it is an After Effects file that has everything already set up. So we're going to double click and open this start file. So once it's opened, you can see we've got a pre-made composition that's made from a Photoshop document that has a variety of different logo elements already on their separate layers. What we're going to do is reveal this logo using the pen tool and leveraging the ability to mask out parts of the logo using the width of a stroke. Also with this, we can reveal it as if it's written by hand. So to get started, make sure the slash layer is selected at the top of your frame, and we're going to be using the pen tool. Now, a quick reference about using the pen. Remember, if you've got the layer selected, this is going to start by drawing a variety of different masks on top of this area. So it's not going to have a fill or a stroke that we're going to see. To get started, keep it as simple as possible. Always start with a single click. That'll give you a starting point for your Bezier curves. Then click and drag, and always hold down your mouse if you need to have a curved line until it gets the line that you want. Again, you can click and drag if you're anticipating a curve. If it is off, you can hold down the space bar and you can move your Bezier curve around. When you let go of your space bar, this will help you place it right where it needs to be. Take some time and just move along in increments and small increments until you completely trace off your entire letter. Once you're finished, you can hold down the Command key if you're on a Mac or the Control key if you're on a Windows and click away to deselect your composition. Just make sure you still have the slash layer selected. One final thing I want you to note is when you start drawing each of these letters, I'll zoom in so we can see the L letter, start off of the letter. So instead of right on top of it, I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to click and drag. And when you end, click and drag off the letter as well. Hold down the Command or the Control key and click away. Also, as you draw these, think about how you would draw them as if you would actually be writing this letter. In this case, it goes around and up, and then I'm going to go back down and then off this way. Hold down Command and click. The S, again, is real simple. Another thing you'll notice is that as you draw these, it's going to create a different color line for each vector line that you've got. Command and click. And if I was to draw the H, it would look something like this. Go down, and then back up, and then down, and then back up this way. The final thing to note is that if you do need to move these lines around, you can always use your selection tool, and then you can click on the point that you want to move, then click again to be able to move it into place or to move the Bezier handles. If you need to move an entire line, you can click on the line, but keep in mind that's also going to adjust the other parts as well. Repeat this entire process until the entire word is completely filled in. The effect we're going to use in order to reveal this can be found under Effects, down to Generate, and we're going to generate a stroke along these masks. Even though we've got lines that are on top of here, we're going to generate these on top of each individual mask. You can notice by default it's generating it on one mask at a time. So the first thing we want to do is to make sure it's going to generate this on all of the masks so that we can see it and work with it here. Finally, we want to increase the stroke size so that it covers all of the letters. To do this, so we've got our brush size now to 2. Let's bring it all the way up to about 37. Notice that if you reach 37 and you still see little parts of it, there's a couple of things we can do. First, you could continue to increase your brush size until the entire thing is filled. You can also use your selection tool and then click on the Bezier points and move it over until it fills out a little bit better. So that's what I'm going to do for this S down here. And again, I'm going to make mine just a little bit bigger so that the top of this fills out the entire thing nicely. You want to make sure everything is nice and covered on your design. So even though the book said to increase the size to 37, you can see my brush size is actually closer to 48 or 50. Let's set our current time indicator to the 10th frame. This is where we're going to start our effect. And let's go up to our stroke effects and let's set our end value to be 0. And we can check on the little stopwatch to add a keyframe here. If you want to be able to see your keyframes in this layer, you can hit the U key, and this will open up that end effect. Now we can move our current time indicator to 2 seconds, and let's change our end value all the way up to 100%. You can see how that's going to write out all the lines that we have and also add a little keyframe to there. The final thing we want to do in order to reveal our image is to change the paint style. Instead of it painting over the original, we want it to reveal the original image. Now when you back up, you can get an idea of what it looks like. As you can see, when you play through, it's going to reveal the image. Sometimes it may reveal parts of the image a little bit before when you want to. So you can see that happening with the A. That's simply because the width of that stroke is going over this side of the little part of the A. Again, if you need to make adjustments, you can use your selection tool, click on the Bezier handle and move it until it works out better. Let's move forward a little bit more. I can see it's sort of happening right here next to the S, so I'm going to click on this Bezier, move it over, move this down a bit. That looks good. And I can see definitely that S up here needs to be moved over, and this one can be readjusted too. So it takes a little bit of finesse, but eventually you should get a nice, good-looking result that writes out your entire line. So there's that, down to there. If we played through again, once it's cleaned up, that looks great. Let's animate the word designs by bringing our current time indicator over to 2-second mark. We'll select the designs layer and press the T key to open up the opacity. We'll set the opacity at this point to be 0%, and then we can move it over 20 more frames to right here. Let's bring up our opacity to 100%. So all it's going to do is a simple fade in once it plays. As always, the last thing we want to do is to select all of our keyframes, press F9 to add some easy ease, and so this will give you a much more naturalistic looking animation. Once you're finished, make sure you can go back to your project panel and you've got the stroke effect composition selected. We'll go to File and we'll export or add it to our render queue. Make sure you know where it's saving to and that you've got your name on your file. Then we can hit render, and this will render out our movie. Upload both the rendered movie and the After Effects file to the Canvas page.